Hi, everyone. You are watching The Self Connection with Ginny Brown and Kelly Petro, where we have conversations with a group of Ascended Masters known as the Multitude of the Greater Good.
The multitude of the greater good are spiritual teachers and healers, and they allow us to tap into their knowing, and they are quite happy to share their information with us. Therefore, Kelly asked the questions, and I channel the answers.
All righty, Ginny. Thanks for being here. Thanks to the Multitude for being here.
And I appreciate you for being here.
Yes, and today we're going to go through some viewer questions. So for those of you watching, if you have questions, whether it's as you're watching and maybe you have a follow-up question on a topic we've covered, or if you just have questions that you've always wondered, mysteries of the universe, or just general, I was going to say self-improvement or developing your self-connection. Excuse me, you can submit your own questions via my website, www.themindfulherbalist.com. Click on the link for the self-connection, and at the bottom of that page, there's a form you could submit your own questions. So, you ready for some viewer questions, Jenny?
I am.
All right, let's see what we got. Okay, someone asks, what about reincarnation? If you get to pick the lessons you learn when you come down, but not how you learn them, is that list reviewed with someone? And if so, whom?
If that list is reviewed, you mean in spirit?
Yeah.
It is important to understand that each one allows each one's own self to choose the lessons one wishes to learn, to choose how to learn those lessons, or to choose what it is one wishes to learn without choosing the how. Therefore, leaving it to chance and free will on the earth plane. We can tell you much is learned by free will. One is free to choose many directions of being. When one allows oneself to schedule the how, there is an element of free will. However, it's like the predestination, so to speak, is already set. Therefore, the culmination of the experience is up to the doer to learn. In our estimation, however, it is not necessary to have a predestination. It is, however, necessary to choose what one wishes to accomplish for oneself when coming to the earth plane. When one comes to the earth plane, one knows who one is, but one does not remember who one is. When one returns to the spirit, one allows oneself to know who one is and remember all that one knows. Therefore, one is able to, it's not judge, but it's to interpret that which one has learned in that current lifetime in order to allow that information to be integrated into one's spiritual self and knowing. In our estimation, there is no one else in charge of you. You are in charge of you, and you review your experiences, you review what you have learned, and you review what it is that you wish to what you wish to continue to learn in that area. We would highly recommend that you not worry about what happens when one returns, as you have planned quite beautifully for your lifetime. And as you move forward in that experience, you allow yourself to grow within that experience and learn and learn and learn. It is quite a beautiful process indeed. It is also important for you to understand that as it is that you move forward in your knowing and your healing and your help of self, you allow us to come in and encourage and contribute some of our knowledge in order to help you move along your path. In our estimation, when it is that you are ready to move, you move. And when it is that you are ready to listen, you listen. And when it is that you are ready to allow yourself to experience, you experience. 99% of the time, the growth is on the spiritual level. There is that part on the earth plane, however, that allows oneself on the earth plane to learn as well. Therefore, we would highly recommend that you understand the integration between the earth knowledge and the spiritual knowledge is that which you are learning. That is what you are experiencing in many levels, and that is how it is to be. In our estimation, each one has the ability to learn both on the spiritual level and the physical level. However, in our estimation, not always is it able to be integrated until one returns. In our estimation, it is always integrated, sometimes on the earth plane, sometimes in spirit. Do not be concerned, all is love.
Okay, I like that answer. And just to clarify or ask for clarification, when they talk about what we plan to learn here, they're talking about us in spirit prior to incarnation, planning what it is our soul wants to learn through this life experience. And am I correct in saying that we don't necessarily come and say, I want to learn carpentry or glass blowing or how to be a doctor? It's not that type of learning. It's, I want to learn patience and I want to learn self-love and I want to learn, I don't know.
Discernment is one.
Yeah, it's funny. I actually heard that, Jenny. I almost said it. So the learning is it correct to say that the soul never chooses like a vocation and that's the learning? It's always something more on the, it's stuff I guess we call soft skills here on Earth, right? Like, I don't know how to categorize it, but am I correct in saying that?
Yeah, I think so. But when we do come to the earth plane, we bring our experience from other lifetimes too. So, for instance, in my case, I've been a channel in many lifetimes. So I would tend to lean toward being a channel in this one because that's what I know. That's my experience. And that's what I intend to complete and learn. For instance, getting over some of the fear that I have that had been created in other lifetimes, things like that, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
But you didn't necessarily say, okay, in this life, I'm also going to be a channeler. It's just that's where the free will came in and the tendency to choose that through free will because of your prior experiences, correct?
Yes, and also because of having completed certain things in other lifetimes that are no longer, you know, important to complete in this one.
Right.
So,
Okay. All right, cool. Thank you. Okay, the next question is, I love the way this one is worded. It's kind of funny. I have a friend who was told she came too soon. She was leaning over too far and fell out the window. And that's all in quotes. Is that just an easy way to explain very complicated things? You know, like thunder is the angels bowling or moving furniture, depending on which day you ask mom. I don't know what that means. In other words, is it just an easy visual or is it like, I guess that's the question.
it
And
is.
is that true? Like, I mean, to say, oh, I came too soon. Like, I always think the multitude says like we're in charge. So
It
yeah.
is not truth. Each one comes when each one plans to come. Each one chooses the circumstances of one's being, in as much as one chooses the like the location they wish to live, with the parents they lived. It's like it's like we make these agreements in spirit with these other beings who choose to be our parents in this lifetime, who choose to be our siblings perhaps in this lifetime. We make all these arrangements in spirit. And then when we come here, then we live it out, so to speak. In our estimation, my dear, it's important to understand that when one comes to the earth plane, one has chosen who, when, what, and why. And when it is that they are on the earth plane, they have fulfilled certain agreements within themselves. In our estimation, one is not just falling out the window. That's fun. One is able to choose when one comes. However, there are times when a child is in the womb or in incubation. One is ready to expand oneself before the allotted time on the earth plane. Therefore, one may choose to come a little bit before the estimated time frame, and therefore may be told a story as having come at the wrong time or having been falling out the window, so to speak.
I love that. Yeah, I think one of the things I love that the multitude does is they re-empower us. Like they take our stories and they re-empower us where, when I hear that, oh, I came too soon, it takes the onus off of our own empowerment that we had a say. And what I've learned listening to the multitude is like, we always have a say. We're always in charge. It's always our choice on some level. Maybe the physical part of us is uncomfortable with the choices our spiritual selves has chosen, but it's still the mission.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking about falling out the window. I was born 6 weeks early. And 6 weeks is a long time.
Yeah.
And some of my kids were born early, some were born late. They're in charge as to when they come.
Yeah, and I wonder, like, those who are born like extremely early and then experience a lot of complications thriving in the beginning of life. Would the multitude say that most of those are chosen experiences as well? Like the soul has chosen that experience?
It is important to understand that many of those experiences are chosen. However, there are a few unplanned ones. And those can be viewed as very serious complications. Those unplanned ones have been it stopped. I don't know what that's about. It is important to understand that if one allows oneself to experience an unplanned experience, they learn how to incorporate it into their being in the highest and greatest way and makes the most of the situation. In our estimation, nothing goes what? Everything is important. I'll put it that way.
I heard optimized. I don't know that unoptimized is a word, but
Yeah. Nothing goes to waste. Everything is integrated into oneself's learning and experience and may later on prove to be one of the better things or better avenues of growth and improvement. Do not be concerned.
that's good to know. Again, it's like takes you out of victimhood that like, okay, this has happened. We're still, if the soul still chooses to be here, it's because there's that which they wish to learn can still be learned through the experience in the way it's playing out.
Yeah.
Um, okay. Feel good about that one? Next question.
Yeah, next question.
Okay. Okay. If our guides are watching all of the time, if, will they intervene when we need it or only if we ask for help? I'm assuming life-threatening situations may be exempt.
It is important to understand that the arrangements for your guides have also been made in spirit. And when it is that you come to the earth plane, you have agreed to allow them to help you, whether you physically or mentally ask for their help. It is in the feeling self that the messages are conveyed. If one is feeling a certain way, a guide may step in and help. It is important to understand the arrangements that have been made in spirit are always amendable, and they are able to be moved differently. However, a guide is always available and responds to the heart self as well, or even more importantly than the mind self. It is very important that one ask from the physical level for help. However, it is always prearranged that there will be help for the asking, whether that asking is on the physical level or the mental level. Do not be concerned, all is love.
So to clarify and further explain, in other words, you can physically pray, please, whoever's there, help me. And
Right.
that's one way of asking. But also in a moment of desperation, when you're not saying the words, but you're feeling, I wish someone would just come help. Like that. You're just feeling
Yeah.
like you wish you had it. That is enough too.
Yeah, they actually act more on the feeling self, because when you're praying, you're feeling the intensity, or you're feeling a part of what it is that you're wanting. So they will act on the feeling self always. And it
Oh,
doesn't always have to be in a negative space, like I need your help with whatever the problem will be.
right.
It's even if you're out having fun and enjoying yourself, that feeling also is generated and allows them to step in and enjoy it as well, or help you in that experience, whatever you need.
Wow. Okay. I can really relate to the feeling self and getting help from a negative place. But
Mm.
when you said that, I I can't comprehend that for some reason.
Well,
Like I can't, like why would I need help in a joyous state? Do you know what I mean?
yeah, I do.
Can they elaborate on that? Because I need to, I'm having a hard time understanding that.
All right. Before I ask them for their answer, I can think of a situation where I could be out having a good time, yet still kind of like hiding a part of me that is not available to have a good time. So they could come in and help me with that part of me, like
Okay.
an undeserving part, or some unhappiness from a past lifetime that is resurrected by having a good time in a certain area, that kind of thing.
Okay, so there could be a part of you that isn't fully enjoying the joy of the moment for years, or there's still a negative in there.
But it
Something
brings
we
up
would deem a negative.
but it brings up something that needs to be healed along the way. So um, let me just see what they
Yeah.
have to say.
Okay.
It is important to understand, my dear, that when one is in a joyous, joyful situation, one is able to experience many things that are unavailable to be felt on the spiritual level. Therefore, we most appreciate being being able to step in and feel those joyful feelings on the earth plane, as they are quite informative to us in our estimation. Joy is a wonderful aspect of being. And when we are allowed to step in a joyful place, not only can we help with some certain things that you might construe as a negative, that we might construe as a positive. However, we are able to experience the joy and the love and the care of oneself through the joyous endeavor. Do not be concerned. It is beneficial to both areas of being, and we are most grateful for the opportunity.
Okay.
That's a good question.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
All right, next one.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to skip some of these because they're too long and personal. Okay. What? That one's too long. Okay. What is it about our minds that we revisit what has already been resolved, or even negative imaginings that aren't helpful?
It is important to understand that it is a significant endeavor to complete a process of healing. And when one reviews in one's mind what one perceives as a negative, one is able to bring forth the feeling required in order to heal that issue or negativity. In our estimation, it is important to understand one reviews in one's mind that which is necessary to be reviewed to be healed. However, when one goes beyond the healing state, one causes oneself it's like, like going around on the hamster wheel.
Yeah.
It is important to understand it is only necessary in some instances for a short time, and after that, it is the hamster wheel. Do not be concerned. It is important to understand that in reviewing issues and feeling the feeling is how the issue is resolved. It is not in the mind self. It is not in the reviewing that allows one to heal. When one reviews and feels, one is able to heal. When one reviews and reviews, there is no benefit. In our estimation, it is important that you understand it is a mind thing. It is a matter of comprehension on the earth plane, but not on the spiritual plane. Therefore, we would highly recommend that when one reviews, one feels, and when one feels, one heals, and then it is no longer a necessity to review and review and review. Do not be concerned, all is love.
Yeah, so what I got out of that is that if you're reviewing it again, it's because it's not healed. But if you're reviewing it and like perseverating, that's an aspect of the mind. Oh, but that is a true like issue in humanity. Like that is true suffering that does happen with people. Do they have any tips for how to get out of the hamster wheel, that cyclical thinking?
It is important to understand that when one feels one's feelings, one allows the healing. When one blocks the feelings, one cannot allow the healing to take place. Therefore, one believes it is important to follow through differently. Do not be concerned. When it is that one is ready to allow oneself to heal, one will allow oneself to feel. It is important, however, to understand that the mind is an earth endeavor. It has nothing to do with the spiritual level of being, other than to allow one to review an issue, to feel the feeling. In our estimation, that is the only way one can heal, is by feeling. Do not be concerned, all is love.
Wow, that's new for me. That the mind is an aspect of like the earth plane, physical existence, and not the spiritual. Although I think that, like, I always thought the mind was where our soul can impress upon us in the physical realm. Is that true?
It is important to understand the mind has its place on the physical realm. However, the healing is done on the spiritual realm. If one believes the mind is necessary, it is necessary. And on our estimation, on the earth plane, it is quite necessary for one's survival. However, it can also lead to the detriment of one if one allows oneself to review in the mind over and over again without the feeling part. In our estimation, it is important to understand that when one comes to the earth plane, one knows what one needs to feel, one knows what one needs to heal, and brings to themselves the circumstances in order to allow that to happen. Do not be concerned, all is love.
Well, that just like opened up a whole category of questions that I simultaneously am curious about and also feel like nervous to cover in this platform because it's the category mental health.
When you're ready.
Yeah, I'm not ready right now because what I feel is the fear of, someone watching and taking it as advice for mental health and potentially seeing it as gaslighting mental health as
Right.
like, oh, it's just this. And
Yeah.
yeah, it feels too scary to cover in this platform, honestly. I don't know. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, it may be something that it's not appropriate for this platform. I think you're right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like someone could hear it and then live by it, which none of this stuff is like, it's all to be taken and integrated in a way that is gentle, kind, and loving to yourself. Um, there's too much nuance when it comes to the individual to like take these teachings and like, I want to say live by it because, but like there's benefits to living by it, but there's also like the integration of like, because someone can interpret it and live by it in a way that doesn't serve them. I'm always um, mindful of that dance, Jenny. I don't know about you.
Not usually, no,
Yeah.
no, because I think that when you hear this information, it's like anything else. You take what's yours and you leave the rest.
Yeah.
I think people will do that. And when they're ready to take more information, they will take what they need and leave the rest. So I don't really worry about that part of it.
Yeah, it's probably just my hypervigilance kicking in,
Could be.
which is a thing for me. And it's funny too, because like as you were channeling that message, I was thinking about OCD and like how that is like something that gets caught in the mind. And I don't know enough about it to speak intelligently, but um that's just what I was thinking of when you were talking about that, like obsessive thinking or obsessive behavior, like hand washing or you know.
But that could be a learning experience too, and it may be a way that someone has brought with them to learn. So,
Yeah.
you know, It's just a way of learning. And on the
Yeah,
plane, we may see it as a problem, but in the spiritual plane, it's just a way to learn.
yeah. That's exactly what I got as you were channeling, and I started contemplating it. And then I heard that, like, that's just another way to learn. So, yeah, we just judge everything. We have a way of judging things as good or bad.
Yeah. Labels.
Yep. Okay. Next question.
Go ahead.
Let's see. Um, okay. I'm assuming by they mean the multitude. They are always saying, do not be concerned, all is love. What is love?
Oh, good question. I didn't expect that. It is important to understand that love is that part of oneself that allows oneself to be who one is. When one allows love, one allows the tenderness of being, one allows the lovingness of being of self, one allows the alternative of being to be discarded and allows oneself to experience in a highly integrative way. When one is able to say, I am love, one is able to say, I am open to that which is meant for me. I am open to those things that will help me expand, help me learn, help me grow, help me be. And I am the one on the earth plane able to do that. However, on the earth plane, love has a very different meaning. It is still love and care. However, it is deemed more to be a term of love of another rather than love of self. When one is able to have love of self, one is able to do all of those things that one wishes to complete on the earth plane. The growth, the love, the care, the understanding, the being, the allowing. However, on the earth plane, the term means to love another person in a different way. It just means that one cares about that person deeply. Do not be concerned, all is love.
Full circle. It's funny, I always like when I hear them say it, what comes to mind for me is whatever topic we ask the question, they channel an answer, and the question is about a topic that people have mixed feelings about. And, so they answer and they talk about it, and then do not be concerned, all is love. I get this feeling of like, don't worry about it, because whatever it is made from love. The idea of it came from a place of love, that all is love. Everything that we deem good or bad came from a place of love.
Yeah,
That's how I always thought of it, but
love and learning.
it puts me at peace about whatever the worrisome topic is.
A lot of it, as they said earlier, a lot of the healing is done on the spiritual plane. And that's part of it too. When they say all is love and they say, don't be concerned, it's because I believe that it's because things that happen on the earth plane are very healing on the spiritual plane, or a lot of growth in the spiritual plane. So whether we deem it to be good or bad, it is always being taken care of on the spiritual plane. So therefore, do not be concerned.
Thank you. You said that way more eloquently. That's how I feel. And you
Yeah.
said it
Oh, good.
very well. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Another question?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, let's see. I think we already answered this question somewhere else, but I'll ask it just in case. Maybe we didn't answer it on a show. Maybe we answered it like at one of your events. I just remember the multitude has answered this, but I'll ask it again. If it is true that there is no time on the other side and that time on this side is a human-made construct, can one do an incarnation and then do a subsequent incarnation at an earlier date? For example, incarnate in 1925 and then later in 1825.
It is important to understand that that cannot happen, as when one allows oneself to experience, one allows all the experiences and knowledge to become part of one on the spiritual plane. And therefore, one brings with oneself to the earth plane the knowledge required or deemed to be required for that current lifetime. Therefore, one cannot live a lifetime and then try to go back and live a prior experience. It it does not compute.
Does not compute. That's good. I think in esoteric discussions, we hear a lot of time is not linear, everything is happening at the same time. And I think our human minds are like, huh, we can't understand that.
Right.
And, yeah, I'm feeling like we did cover this in another episode.
Yeah,
Um,
that would be a good one. Yeah.
I think we already covered it though, didn't we?
Not to I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
remember.
like timelines and time splitting off and
Oh yeah,
concurrent timelines, like that was a whole,
we did do that. Yeah.
yeah. Well, maybe just for the sake, since we're here on this topic, what does the multitude have to say about the idea that time is not linear?
It is important to understand that on the earth plane, linear time is the only way it can be. If it is that there were no time on the earth plane, one could not complete one's experiences in a manner as to add and add and add to who one is. When it is that one believes there is no time in spirit, it is important to understand spirit is more of the energetic level. Therefore, time is not a necessity. It is just being. On the earth plane, one allows oneself to be and to grow and to learn. Therefore, linear time is quite helpful in our estimation. It does not matter if one believes in linear time or not. One allows oneself to move forward in the way, the means, the being of self that is required, regardless of how one computes time or does not. Do not be concerned, all is love.
I love that.
Good.
It's very satisfying to hear these, you know, because you hear a lot of people in their interpretations of esoteric concepts, and you hear a lot of channelers and say things that don't make sense. And so then it makes you feel a little uneasy about the world and how it works. And that's one of them. Like time is not linear. I think I surrendered, like, okay, I guess time's not linear because I heard it so much. And like to hear the multitude explain it, like, no, it is a thing. It is a thing and you need it on the earth plane. Otherwise, you can't build on not just this is what I got, they didn't say it, but not just your individual soul's learning and like to build on your past lives and kind of come into your next life with the availability to access that prior knowing and experience, but as a collective humanity that we evolve. And you think about that in terms of like, like slavery. We all have this collective agreement now that that is not a good thing, you know, and we couldn't have gotten that if time wasn't linear. Like we'd be coming in and out of that. And certainly slavery still exists today in pockets of the world. But as a humanity, we've grown in the collective idea of whether that serves us or not.
It is important to understand that the collective idea of being is quite different. In our estimation, the collective knowing is that which is feeding oneself in one way and a detriment to oneself and another. When one allows one to understand that the collective is made up of each individual, it is important to allow each individual the expansion required. A collective energy is great for some parts of self, but on the earth plane, it is meant to allow oneself to grow individually, and the energy that is produced or gained or healed or expanded is a part of the all that is on the spiritual level. In our estimation, the earth plane collective is quite different than one on the earth plane beliefs.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. And there's a lot of, I feel like I have a million questions from that alone. Like, okay, I really don't understand in the collective. I need to dive into that more. But I think a lot of channelers do talk about like we are moving into a time where humanity, blah 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 blah. And
It is important to understand that we are ones in spirit who have allowed ourselves to help others on the individual level. We allow ourselves to each one grow to be the best one that they can be. In our estimation, that is where it begins. And in our estimation, a collective is part of the growth that has already happened. When growth happens, it can only go so far in a collective. It is important to understand that each one is responsible for each one's own self and allows each one's own self the opportunity of growth, love, care, and understanding.
I feel like I need to listen to this episode again.
Yeah.
Because I think there's things that they're trying to convey and I'm not picking up on it. And maybe it's the vertigo or maybe it's, I
Yeah.
don't know. I
Yeah,
want to
well,
listen
I
to this
think
again.
probably a lot of it needs to be expanded, but maybe individual questions where we can spend a lot of time on the one topic.
Yeah, I guess one of the things I just heard them say is they are the ones, meaning those that you were channeling, are the
Yeah.
ones that help individuals.
Right.
Does that mean that there are other beings in spirit that Ginny's not channeling that speak to the collective more appropriately than those that that you're channeling?
It's important to understand that there are those who are able to see the bigger picture. However, they do not consider a collective a bigger picture. They consider things such as love a bigger picture, such as healing a bigger picture, healing the earth, healing the energy of being. It is important to understand it all begins within one before it can begin in a collective consideration. In our estimation, when one is able to allow oneself to be who one is able to add to the spiritual energy of the whole. However, the whole is greater than a collective of beings. Do not be concerned. In our estimation, it is unimportant at this time. What is important is that each one allow each one the growth, love, care, and understanding that they have come to the earth plane to attain. Do not be concerned. All is love.
Right. Yeah, I'm glad they're saying it's not important because something's not connecting for me right now. I feel like they're trying to convey something important and it's not clicking for me.
Okay.
Maybe for whoever's listening it will, but
Yeah. Yeah.
when I go back to listen,
then you can form your questions for another time.
yeah, for sure.
So.
Okay. I got a giant helicopter outside of my house. I'm sorry if it's loud. I don't know if that
Yeah.
sound is
I
good.
can't even hear it, but
Oh, good. Another question?
yeah, if we have time, sure.
I have time. I don't know if you have
I
time.
have time.
Okay. Okay. There's like a bunch of questions, but I think it's trying to convey a general idea, so bear with me. Um, do you stay involved with those you leave behind? Just watching in case they need help? Just watching because you can? Is there a time limit to how closely they pay attention? I've tried to reach others and have been told it's not like 1-800 dial the dead, and they may not answer because they are busy. But busy doing what?
All right. Well, it is important to understand that there are those on the earth plane who believe that there is, what I'm saying is someone lying in a hammock,
Yeah.
swinging back and forth in spirit. It is important to understand that each one has the opportunity to allow themselves growth on the spiritual plane as well as on the physical plane. When one is in spirit, one may have a job, so to speak. One may choose to help in such a way as to allow others to move forward in a certain way, or to have help others allow themselves to open more. There are many jobs in spirit that one can complete. However, it is not just a place of doing nothing. There are many jobs. There are those who have the opportunity to allow themselves their life review and then allow themselves their planning for their next I'm going to say incarceration.
Sometimes feel like that.
Oh, wow. Return to the earth plane. In our estimation, however, when one allows oneself to be in communication with those on the earth plane, it is a part of their process of being, part of their own process of doing and healing and being. And when it is that one on the earth plane reaches out to someone in spirit, they may be in the process of learning in a different way, or maybe in a process of raising their own energies in order to allow themselves communication. There is a law on the spiritual plane to be completed in order to allow one to communicate with someone on the earth plane. There is a great deal of energy, like a level of energy that needs to be raised, like a vibrational energy that needs to be raised in order for one to have the ability to make the connection. And then for one to have the ability to be able to speak and hear and listen and connect on that level. In our estimation, there is much being created and completed on the spiritual plane, as well as much to be learned in order to allow one to allow the communication. Therefore, we would highly recommend that each one on the earth plane do not be it's like confused or disappointed when they cannot connect with someone. As on the earth plane, it is important to raise your own vibration in order to match the vibration of someone on the spiritual plane. That is where the connection lies. It is in the vibrational energy of each one, whether each one be on the spiritual plane or the physical plane. When one is able to raise one's vibration to the energy allowed or allowable for connection, that is only half of the equation. Do not be concerned, all is love.
Well, that's good to hear because I think like you hear in intuitive development circles or mediumship circles, like the medium has to raise their vibration in order to access the spirit of another being. And the spirit of the other being has to, well, this is how it's described, dense down in order to meet, so that in other words, they're meeting in the middle. But what I think I heard the multitude just say is no, both the physical being and the spiritual being have to raise their vibration.
to a certain level, but there could be some in spirit that have a higher vibrational level and do need to lower their vibration in order to make the match.
Right. And it seems like the match is made when there's like coherence or alignment or resonance in some way.
Makes sense to me. Yeah.
So, like, the other thing I heard them say is like, and maybe they didn't just say it, I can't remember if they just said it or I've heard it in the past, where it's like, it's really about you. You have access to the all that is, and which includes the energy of a passed on loved one, right?
It
And so
could.
it's really about allowing yourself to access that energy, correct?
Well, I don't know, Kelly.
Mm.
It's allowing your energy, allowing your vibration to be raised to a level of that possibility.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And so then, like, here's what I'm thinking about. Like, I'll give my own example. So, like, I'm in this phase of healing some old family patterns. And I know where those family patterns, I don't want to say I know where they began, but I know where I'm in resonance down the family line. And I've never felt my grandfather on my mom's side. I've never felt him around me. He's been gone. I'm 46 now. He's been gone since I was like 17, 16. So I've never felt him around me really, right? But now that I'm working through healing this pattern that, as far as I want to say it began with him, but who knows beyond him where it began, right? Where I feel him around me. And so my mental mind goes, is he around me? Is he guiding me? Or am I just in resonance with those parts of him that I know contributed to me needing to journey this leg of healing? See what I'm saying? And I think what the multitude is saying is when you're in spirit, you can choose to be a guide and to communicate, with the living. And so maybe that's where I feel he's there, but also it could be not that he's here, but that I'm in resonance with those parts of his energy that are congruent with where I'm at right now. I don't know.
That makes more sense to me because it's like you have to be of a certain vibratory level in order for that communication, or to be able to like some people get visitations, you might say, but
Yeah.
the spirit has to be at a certain vibratory level to allow that to happen. Not every spirit can do that. Let's see what they have to say.
Okay.
It is important to understand that as each one allows each oneself the growth required on the earth plane and allows each one to expand oneself within the physical self, within the spiritual self, one will allow oneself the ability to raise the vibratory level in order to make the connections one is interested in hearing, feeling, learning. In our estimation, however, it is not quite that simple. One is able to allow oneself to be who one is, and one is allowing oneself to be open to the energy of another. When one is open, one is allowing oneself to experience differently than when one just believes it's a possibility. In our estimation, it is important to understand that it works on both levels, and the resonance that you are feeling is part and parcel of your knowing on the earth plane and part and parcel of your own vibratory expansion. In our estimation, when one on the earth plane allows oneself to feel the resonance of another, it is that one is quite familiar with that other on the spiritual plane. therefore allowing that resonance to occur on the physical plane. In our estimation, when one believes there is a problem, there is a problem. And when one believes that one is capable of many things, it is not always a possibility. In our estimation, it is important to understand that when one allows oneself the growth required in order to allow oneself to be who one is able to allow one's vibratory level or vibrational level, they want to say vibrationary level, to allow oneself the ability to increase the I'm feeling it and I don't know how to express it. It's like the vibratory connection of being within oneself, therefore able to feel the vibratory connection that is already around them. It is important to understand that when one connects with another's energy on the earth plane, one is not always connecting with that being that they knew on the earth plane. They are connecting with that being's energy of all that they are over all of those lifetimes and able to be in the place of connection, of knowing with that being. Do not be concerned, all is love.
I get that.
But I'll have to listen to that.
Yeah. It's like, it kind of echoes what I think, what I was trying to say earlier, which is you might not be like in connection with the being themselves. They're not like showing up in a very real way. It's just you are in connection with their personal, all that is, their soul, the energy that their soul has gleaned over lifetimes. Like when you channel Jesus,
Right.
like with your intention, I now, like, I don't know if he's just
He's saying he's here.
okay. So that's good to know because it's like that's a question I have is like, is he just like showing up because we invoke him? Or are you just accessing his, and I get the feeling that it might be a combination depending on the conversation.
I would like you to understand, my dear, that I am always available in spiritual energy. And when one asks for my spiritual energy or my spiritual information, I am most pleased to be able to give it. I am always available as I am in spirit and able to allow my energy to be heard and felt on the earth plane. However, it is quite different than being on the physical or the physical level. One can connect with one differently on the earth plane than one connects with one on the spiritual level. And when I am available to you, it is because your heart has asked for available information. Therefore, it is important to understand it is not always the mind self that I am replying to. It is that heart connection, and your heart is quite open and interested. Therefore, I am quite able to convey my information to one who is most open and interested. Do not be concerned.
Well, then while we have you, because we do have a viewer question and I wasn't going to ask, but since you've arrived, can I ask a question?
Ask.
Okay. I mean, it's a very general one, but what are our misconceptions about love, the story of Jesus, suffering connected with love? What are the misconceptions about love within the story of Jesus, the suffering connected with love?
It is important to understand that I led my life in the way that was available to me at the time. It is important to understand there are many ways of connecting in love, and one does not need to allow suffering in order for that connection. They are It's like not related one to the other. One is able to experience love in many ways, some in suffering, most in joy. Therefore, I would highly recommend that each one allow themselves to feel their joy, allow their joy to be their connection, as suffering on the earth plane has a reason for being. However, suffering in the spiritual is non-existent. Do not be concerned.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thanks for popping in.
Happy to be here.
That's good. I was like, how do I fit this Jesus question in with these other questions? But he just kind of showed up. So
I guess he answered your question.
yeah, I guess he did. Um, okay. I'm not going to ask this question because it's personal, but I think actually this is where we're going to wrap up, because this next question I can put in with a group of other questions that we have, and it's our last viewer question. So for our viewers, like, keep the questions coming, because I feel like they bring up really good points, and even if I think, oh well, we've covered that, the channeled messages that come through, I feel like open the conversation to go deeper in these really great topics. So
Well, also, Kelly, the energy is always changing. The
yeah,
of today is quite different from the energy 3 hours from now. It's
yeah,
always changing. So the answers will always be changing and you know, maybe going deeper or whatever.
that's a good point, because I imagine, like, there's some questions today that I'm like, I think we covered this, and I mean, the multitude is pretty consistent. Like, I remembered some of the older answers, and today they were congruent with the older answers, but sometimes they change a little bit, and it's because life is constantly changing.
Right.
Each of our, excuse me, each of our experiences and contributions to the all that is constantly changing. So the answer from that, I guess.
Well, our own energy is constantly changing.
Yeah.
As we grow, as we allow our vibration to raise, our energy changes. That's why when people do their own work and change their own energy, their relationships can change because they've changed themselves. And when you change yourself, the energy of you changes the energy around you as well.
Yeah. I mean, that is kind of like how I try to live, because we don't have control of anything outside of ourselves,
Right.
truly. So when you shift yourself, I mean, it's the only way you can really influence your surroundings,
Yeah.
or how you respond to your surroundings. So
Okay.
thanks, Jenny. Thanks for channeling. Thanks to the multitude and Jesus, who I know is part of the multitude, but just a special shout out.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
We are most pleased to be able to participate in this endeavor of being, as it not only helps in the growth of each of you, it allows us to expand ourselves and allow our understanding of being as well. In order to allow ourselves to participate, we are able to raise and lower our energy as required. Do not be concerned, all is love.
Good to know. It's a fluctuation, I guess, depending on the need.
Or
Cool.
the group, because the multitude is multitudes and multitudes of multitudes. So there are many, many, many groups.
Love it.
So thank you, Kelly.
Thanks, Jenny. And thanks everyone for watching. We'll see you next time on the Self Connection.
And thank you all for your questions.
Yeah, keep them coming.
Yes. So long.
Bye.
Bye.